My name is Sydney Foster. I'm 30 years old, and I thought hard work and innovation would speak for themselves until my coworker looked me in the eye during the promotion announcement and said, "Sydney's ideas aren't that original." What happened next proved that while I was working nights and weekends to develop groundbreaking software solutions, my colleague was systematically stealing my code and presenting it as her own work to advance her career at my expense. Before I tell you how one phone call from our CEO changed everything my company thought they knew about who created our most successful product, and how GitHub commit history exposed a theft so blatant it was documented with timestamps, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you want to hear how 3 words GitHub commit history silenced an entire boardroom and made everyone realize they had just promoted someone who had stolen every line of code she claimed to have written. Let me take you back to where this story really begins. I work as a senior software engineer at TechFlow Solutions, a mid-sized company that develops custom software applications for healthcare organizations. It's challenging, meaningful work that combines my passion for coding with the opportunity to create tools that genuinely improve patient care and medical efficiency. I've been with TechFlow for 4 years, building a reputation as someone who can solve complex technical problems and deliver innovative solutions that exceed client expectations. My work has consistently received positive feedback from both clients and internal leadership. 6 months ago, our company landed its biggest contract ever, a $2.5 million project to develop a comprehensive patient management system for a large hospital network. The system needed to integrate multiple existing databases, streamline workflow processes, and provide real-time analytics for medical staff. Our director, Mark Chen, assembled a team of 5 senior engineers to work on different components of the project. I was assigned to lead the development of the Core Integration Module, EDS, the most technically challenging part of the system that would determine whether the entire project succeeded or failed. My teammate on this project was Jessica Williams, a software engineer who had joined the company about 2 years ago. Jessica was competent at standard development tasks, but she had never led a major project or developed anything particularly innovative during her time at TechFlow. "Sydney, I'm really excited to work with you on this," Jessica told me when Mark announced our team assignments. "I know you're the technical lead on the integration module, and I'm hoping to learn a lot from watching how you approach complex problems." I appreciated Jessica's enthusiasm and was happy to mentor her as we worked together on what would be the most important project of my career. The integration module I was tasked with developing required creating entirely new algorithms for data synchronization across disparate medical systems. No existing software solutions could handle the specific requirements our client had outlined, which meant I would need to innovate from scratch. Over the next 3 months, I worked intensively on developing the algorithms and code architecture for the integration system. I spent countless evenings and weekends researching technical approaches, testing different solutions, and writing thousands of lines of original code. The work was intellectually demanding but deeply satisfying. I was creating something genuinely new that would solve real problems for healthcare providers and ultimately improve patient care. Throughout this process, Jessica was assigned to work on smaller supporting features that would integrate with my core module. She would regularly ask me questions about my approach, request explanations of the algorithms I was developing, and ask to review my code to better understand how her components would interface with mine. "Sydney, can you walk me through your synchronization algorithm again?" Jessica would ask during our weekly team meetings. "I want to make sure my authentication module will work seamlessly with your core system." I was always happy to explain my work and share my knowledge. I believed that collaborative development led to better products, and I wanted Jessica to succeed in her assigned tasks. "Sure," I would reply, pulling up my code on the shared screen. The key innovation here is the real-time conflict resolution system that prevents data corruption when multiple systems try to update the same patient records simultaneously. I would spend time explaining the technical details, showing Jessica how the algorithms worked, and discussing the design decisions that made the system both robust and efficient. "That's brilliant," Jessica would say after my explanations. "I never would have thought to approach the problem that way." These conversations felt like productive team collaboration, and I was pleased that Jessica was engaged with understanding the overall system architecture. After 4 months of intensive development, I had successfully created the integration module that formed the heart of our client's new patient management system. The code was elegant, efficient, and solved problems that no existing software had been able to address. During our project demonstrations, clients were consistently impressed with the capabilities of the integration system. "This is exactly what we needed," the hospital's chief technology officer told our team during one presentation. "Sydney's integration module does things we didn't even know were possible. This will revolutionize how our staff manages patient information." The success of my integration module was driving the success of the entire 2.5 million project, and everyone recognized that I had created something genuinely innovative and valuable. But around this time, something strange began happening in our team meetings. Jessica started making comments that suggested she had been more involved in developing the core integration module than she actually had been. When Sydney and I were designing the synchronization algorithms, she would say, "We decided to prioritize real-time conflict resolution over processing speed." Sydney and I, as if we had collaborated as equals on the technical design, when in reality I had developed the algorithms independently and simply explained them to Jessica so she could understand how to integrate her supporting features. Initially, I assumed Jessica was just being imprecise with her language. Many software projects involve collaborative work, and the lines between individual contributions can sometimes become blurred in how people remember and describe the development process. But Jessica's claims about her involvement became more specific and frequent. "The authentication module I built works so well with the core system because Sydney and I developed them together," she told Mark during one status update meeting. "We really collaborated closely on the overall architecture." This wasn't accurate. Jessica had built her authentication module based on specifications I provided, but she hadn't collaborated on the core system architecture. I had developed that entirely on my own. I started paying closer attention to how Jessica described our work, and I noticed a pattern of her taking credit for aspects of the project that she hadn't actually contributed to. During client presentations, Jessica would say things like, "I solved the data synchronization challenge by implementing real-time conflict resolution," describing my algorithms as if she had created them. When I tried to gently correct these misrepresentations, Jessica would say things like, "Oh, you're right. Sydney helped me refine that approach," still implying that she had been the primary developer while I had provided minor assistance. The pattern was subtle but persistent, and I began to worry that Jessica was deliberately misrepresenting her contributions to advance her own career. My concerns intensified 2 months ago when Mark announced that TechFlow was creating a new position, Lead Technical Architect, AF, specifically to oversee the development of innovative solutions like the integration module I had created. "This is a senior leadership role," Mark explained to our team. "We're looking for someone who has demonstrated the ability to create groundbreaking technical solutions and lead complex development projects." The lead technical architect position was exactly the kind of career advancement I had been working toward. It would come with a significant salary increase, stock options, and the opportunity to lead the company's most challenging and innovative projects. I felt confident that I was the obvious candidate for the role. I had just delivered the most successful project in company history, creating innovative solutions that no one else had been able to develop. But when I mentioned to Jessica that I planned to apply for the position, her response surprised me. "I'm planning to apply too," she said casually. "I think my work on the integration module really demonstrates my ability to lead innovative technical development." "Your work on the integration module?" I repeated. "Well, our work," Jessica corrected quickly, "but I was responsible for some of the key technical innovations that made the project successful." I stared at Jessica, realizing that she was planning to apply for a promotion based on taking credit for work that I had done. "Jessica, you worked on the authentication module," I said clearly. "I developed the core integration algorithms. We collaborated closely on the overall system," Jessica replied. "I don't think it's accurate to say that any one person was responsible for the technical innovations." This was gaslighting. Jessica was rewriting the history of our project to minimize my contributions and exaggerate her own. Over the next week, I heard through office conversations that Jessica was indeed applying for the lead technical architect position and was citing her leadership role in developing the innovative integration algorithms as her primary qualification. She was applying for a promotion based on claiming credit for my work. When I brought my concerns to Mark, his response was disappointing. Sydney, I understand that you feel you were the primary developer of the integration module, Mark said. But software development is always collaborative. It's difficult to parse out individual contributions when people work closely together. Mark, I have documentation of every line of code I wrote, I replied. I can show you exactly what I developed and what Jessica developed. I'm sure you both made important contributions, Mark said diplomatically. The promotion committee will review everyone's qualifications and make the best decision for the company. It was clear that Mark either didn't understand the situation or didn't want to get involved in what he saw as a conflict between team members. 3 weeks ago, the promotion was announced. Jessica Williams was selected as the new lead technical architect. During the announcement meeting, Mark praised Jessica's innovative technical leadership and specifically cited her groundbreaking work on real-time data synchronization algorithms as evidence of her qualifications for the role. He was describing my algorithms as Jessica's accomplishments. When colleagues congratulated me on being part of the team that had developed such innovative solutions, Jessica made sure to clarify the situation. Sydney's ideas aren't that original, she said within earshot of several coworkers. The real innovation came from understanding how to implement those concepts in a production environment, which was my contribution to the project. She was now actively diminishing my work while taking credit for the implementation of algorithms that I had both designed and coded myself. I felt angry, frustrated, and betrayed. Jessica had stolen credit for my work and used it to get a promotion that should have been mine. But I also felt powerless to prove what had actually happened. Jessica had been careful to frame her claims as collaborative work rather than explicitly saying she had done my job, which made it difficult to demonstrate the theft. That evening, I went home and began gathering documentation to prove my contributions to the integration module. I was determined to find a way to expose Jessica's deception and get recognition for my actual work. I started by pulling up our company's GitHub repository, where all of our code was stored with detailed commit history, showing who had written each line of code and when. What I found was even more damning than I had expected. The GitHub commit history showed that I had written 100% of the core integration algorithms that Jessica was taking credit for. Every single line of the innovative code that had made our project successful had been committed to the repository under my name, with timestamps showing exactly when I had developed each component. Jessica's commits to the repository consisted entirely of the authentication module I had assigned to her, plus some minor configuration files and documentation updates. There was no ambiguity in the code repository. The technical innovations Jessica was claiming credit for were entirely my work, and the evidence was documented with timestamps and digital signatures that couldn't be disputed. But as I dug deeper into the commit history, I discovered something even more troubling. Jessica had been accessing and downloading my code files throughout the development process, but she had never committed any substantial original code to the repository herself. The pattern suggested that Jessica had been systematically studying my work and preparing to claim credit for it, rather than genuinely collaborating on the development. I also found email records showing that I had been working independently on the integration algorithms, sending solo progress updates to Mark, and troubleshooting technical challenges without any input from Jessica. The documentation clearly showed that I had been the sole developer of the core technical innovations, while Jessica had worked on a completely separate component of the system. Armed with this evidence, I requested another meeting with Mark to discuss the promotion decision. Mark, I have documentation that proves I was the sole developer of the integration algorithms Jessica is claiming credit for, I said, bringing printed copies of the GitHub commit history and email records. Mark looked uncomfortable as he reviewed the evidence I had gathered. Sydney, this shows that you committed most of the core integration code, he acknowledged. But Jessica may have contributed in ways that aren't reflected in the code repository. What ways? I asked. The algorithms, the architecture, the implementation, everything that made the project innovative is documented as my work. Well, she may have provided important guidance during the development process, Mark suggested weakly. Mark, Jessica asked me to explain my algorithms to her so she could understand how to integrate her authentication module. I replied. That's not the same as collaborating on the development. Mark was clearly struggling with the situation, but he seemed reluctant to acknowledge that a major personnel decision had been made based on false information. I'll need to discuss this with the promotion committee, he said finally. But before Mark could take any action, something happened that changed everything. Yesterday morning, I received a phone call that would vindicate everything I had been trying to prove. Sydney, this is James Morrison, CEO of TechFlow Solutions, the caller said. I need to speak with you about your integration module development work. I was surprised to be receiving a direct call from our CEO, who I had never spoken with personally. I've been reviewing the technical documentation for our hospital contract, James continued, and I have some questions about the development process for the core integration algorithms. What kind of questions? I asked. Well, I've been trying to understand how the algorithms were developed, so I can present the technical innovations to our board of directors, James explained. But when I asked Jessica to walk me through her development process, her explanations didn't match the technical documentation. My heart started racing as I realized what James was telling me. Jessica couldn't explain how the algorithms actually work? I asked. More than that, James replied. When I asked her specific questions about the technical implementation, it became clear that she doesn't understand the code she's claiming to have written. James continued, I decided to review the GitHub repository myself, and I can see that every line of the core integration code was committed by you, not Jessica. That's correct, I confirmed. I developed all of the integration algorithms independently. Sydney, I need you to understand something important, James said, his voice becoming more serious. The board of directors is considering using your integration algorithms as the foundation for a new product line that could generate tens of millions of dollars in revenue for our company. I didn't know the algorithms were being considered for other applications, I replied. They represent genuinely innovative technology that could revolutionize how healthcare systems manage data integration, James explained. But if we're going to build a product line around this technology, I need to know who actually created it. I created all of the core algorithms, I said clearly. I can walk you through every technical decision and explain how each component works. That's exactly what I need, James replied. Can you come to my office this afternoon? I want you to present the technical details to our board of directors so they can understand what we're working with. 3 hours later, I was sitting in TechFlow's boardroom, presenting my integration algorithms to the company's board of directors and executive leadership team. The key innovation in this system is the real-time conflict resolution algorithm that prevents data corruption, I explained, walking through the technical architecture on the conference room's large display screen. When multiple healthcare systems try to update the same patient record simultaneously, traditional integration solutions create data conflicts that can compromise patient safety. I continued explaining how my algorithms solve this problem through predictive caching, priority-based update queuing, and distributed transaction management. The board members asked detailed technical questions about implementation challenges, scalability considerations, and potential applications in other industries. I was able to answer every question thoroughly and accurately because I had developed every aspect of the system myself. This technology is remarkable, the board chairman said after my presentation. Sydney, you've created something that could transform how organizations handle real-time data integration across multiple platforms. Thank you, I replied. It was challenging to develop, but I'm proud of the solution we were able to deliver for our client. After the board meeting, James asked me to stay for a private conversation. Sydney, I need to ask you directly. Did Jessica Williams contribute to the development of these algorithms in any meaningful way? No, I said honestly. Jessica worked on the authentication module, which interfaces with my integration system but doesn't involve any of the core algorithmic innovations. Did she collaborate with you on the technical design or implementation? No. I explained my algorithms to her so she could understand how to integrate her authentication module, but she didn't participate in developing the core system. James was quiet for a moment, clearly processing the implications of what I was telling him. Sydney, Jessica has been promoted to lead technical architect, based primarily on her claimed contributions to your integration algorithms, he said. I know, I replied. That's why I tried to bring documentation to Mark showing that I had developed the algorithms independently. Well, after today's presentation, it's clear that Jessica either doesn't understand the technology she's claiming to have created, or she deliberately misrepresented her contributions to get promoted. James continued. Either way, we have a serious problem. We've promoted someone based on false information, and we've failed to recognize the actual creator of what may be our most valuable intellectual property. The next morning, James called an all-hands meeting for our engineering department. I want to address some important issues related to our recent promotion decisions and project contributions, James began. Jessica was sitting in the front row, looking increasingly nervous as James continued. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to review the technical details of our hospital integration project with the board of directors, James said. During that review, we discovered some significant discrepancies between promotion justifications and actual development contributions. The room was completely silent as everyone waited to hear what James would say next. Specifically, we found that the core integration algorithms that have been cited as evidence of innovative technical leadership were developed entirely by Sydney Foster, not by the person who was promoted based on claiming credit for that work. Jessica's face went white as James continued. GitHub commit history shows that 100% of the core algorithmic code was written by Sydney, while Jessica Williams worked exclusively on supporting authentication features. Furthermore, James said, looking directly at Jessica, when asked to explain the technical implementation of the algorithms she claimed to have developed, Jessica was unable to demonstrate understanding of how the code actually works. The room was so quiet you could hear people breathing. Effective immediately, we are reversing the recent promotion decision, James announced. Sydney Foster is being promoted to lead technical architect, and we are conducting a full review of Jessica Williams's employment status. After the meeting, Jessica approached me with tears in her eyes. Sydney, I'm sorry, she said. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I just thought that since we worked on the project together, I could emphasize my contributions during the promotion process. Jessica, you claimed credit for algorithms you didn't write, I replied. That's not emphasizing your contributions. That's taking credit for someone else's work. I know I made a mistake, Jessica said. But I didn't think anyone would check the technical details so carefully. You didn't think anyone would check whether you actually created the technology you were claiming credit for? Jessica couldn't answer that question because answering it honestly would require admitting that she had deliberately planned to deceive the company about her contributions. 2 weeks later, Jessica was terminated for misrepresentation of technical contributions and violation of professional ethics standards. The company also began a formal review of all recent promotion decisions to ensure that similar misrepresentations hadn't occurred in other cases. I'm now working in my new role as lead technical architect, leading the development of a new product line based on the integration algorithms I created. The company is projecting that this product line could generate over $50 million in revenue within 3 years. But more importantly, I've learned valuable lessons about protecting my work and ensuring that my contributions are properly documented and recognized. The woman whose coworker said her ideas aren't that original learned that GitHub commit history doesn't lie, and that stealing code is much harder than thieves think when everything is digitally tracked and timestamped. And the colleague who thought she could steal her way to a promotion learned that claiming credit for innovative technology requires being able to explain how that technology actually works, something impossible to fake when questioned by experts. Sometimes the most satisfying vindication comes not from arguing about who did what, but from simply being asked to demonstrate what you actually know and can do. Have you ever had coworkers steal credit for your work? How do you protect your contributions and ensure you get recognition for your achievements? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories about workplace justice, protecting your intellectual property, and learning that the truth will always be revealed when experts ask the right questions.